So this week we're making a bunch of videos all at Sound City, which is a festival, and as much as it might seem cool to like play festivals and do gigs out of town and all that kind of stuff, it does come with a heavy cost, and we kind of want to talk about that today. A while ago we made a video that was talking about whether or not it's actually feasible to make a living as a musician. We called the video "The Truth About the Music Industry." I'll link it up there if you want to watch it. But that was talking about the income and how little income you can have as a band. Or even if something seems like a big thing, the amount of income from it is actually not enough to live on, especially for the amount of members that you might have. But the other side of that is the costs that come with being an artist. Just doing recordings or gigging or festivals or anything like that costs money, and generally you won't actually be earning money back from those things, especially not in the early stages. To give an example, Liverpool Sound City. Say you get a slot on Liverpool Sound City. You don't get your petrol paid for you. You would have to pay for the petrol yourself. Maybe you don't drive. Maybe you're going to have to pay for a van hire. So that's maybe up to £100 in petrol, depending on how many of you are going if you have cars. If you don't have a car, you're going to have to hire a van. That could be a few £100s for the driver and the van. That's not ideal. You're not going to be earning that money back from the festival. Granted, you might make some new fans, they might buy some stuff, you might get some merch sold or something, but there's a chance that on a festival, especially as a low band, you are going to be losing money. There is no way around that. That's just going to happen. These are things that obviously that you need to be prepared for. In terms of gigs, say you get offered an out-of-town gig. Say you live where we live, which is Sheffield, and you get offered a gig in London. That's a hefty drive, isn't it, Joe? That's a long drive. You've done that drive, I believe.
I've done that drive twice before, and it took about 7 hours with traffic.
Yes. So either you need to be paying for petrol for however many cars you need, which is going to be a decent amount of money, or you can get a van hire. Either way, you might not want to drive there and back on the same day. If you don't, that's a hotel room. How much do hotels room cost? Quite a bit of money. These things, that might be a really good gig, but if you can't afford it, maybe you need to not do the gig or whatever. Sometimes you'll get offered a gig in the weekday that's an out-of-town gig. Look into it, see if it's actually worth doing, because it's alright saying, oh, there might be some people there who might like us, but if it's costing you like £400 for this gig, it's probably not worth doing. The biggest cost that an artist faces, pretty much entirely, unless you're doing like music videos like what Little Mix do or whatever, you're probably going to be spending the majority of your cash on getting recordings done. Going in the studio is really expensive. Anywhere from like £200 to £400 a day is what a studio will cost. Sometimes you'll get mixing and mastering in with that cost. Sometimes you have to pay for that as well. As much as we don't really recommend doing recordings yourself, because generally if you want radio play or you want to get to that next level, doing it yourself isn't always the best idea, because obviously there are professionals out there that can do it far, far better than the average Joe can, if you like. But cost is a very big thing, especially when you're first starting out. So the only really way around it is to do it DIY. Spend time, spend years practicing mixing and mastering and all that kind of stuff. So maybe, just maybe, that is a cost that you can avoid. There isn't necessarily a moral to this video.
I suppose it's just making people aware
Yeah.
that things do cost money.
Yeah, especially if you're just starting out, there is a shit ton of costs, and maybe you need to prioritize what the end goal is that you want, say for the next few months, the next year. What do you want to happen? Do you want to have some recordings done? Do you want to have built a few fans but don't really care about having music out there yet or anything like that? Because if you have a very small budget, chances are you do have a very small budget. Some bands have a zero budget, which is obviously even worse, but you really need to be prioritizing what you're spending money on, because a festival, especially if it's not really a festival that your band fits in, is probably best off not doing. You're best off not playing the festival and saving that petrol money and saving that hotel money, so that you can then put it towards something that maybe would be more worthwhile doing, like a recording, like doing a hometown gig where you're actually paying for it yourself or whatever. As we've been in Sound City, as we currently are, we have made a lot of videos. All of those videos have been going out this week. There is a link to a playlist where you can watch all of those videos. I've obviously been a little bit lazy with some of the videos recently, but that's because we've had a lot going on behind the scenes. Hopefully this week's worth of videos has made up for that. If it has, let us know. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.